the Pleiadians came in my dream, and I've never had that happen before. And I was
Yes.
like, who are you? And it was these little blue beings who were outside my window. And I think then they told me, they're like, we are your star brothers and sisters, and we are here to protect you. And then now when I try to remember this and not fall asleep too soon, I ask them to clean me and clear me every night.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. I'm here to share with you the beautiful transmissions from the walls of my cavernous heart and to witness the great frequency shift that we are moving into as a collective and the beautiful deep work that we are doing as we glide into the age of Aquarius. This is the Liminal Frequencies podcast. Let's go. Welcome to the show. I'm Jillian Ribbons. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you guys, and I am hoping that you are on a healing journey and on a path where you feel supported. And if you don't feel supported, it's so important to reach out for community. I'm feeling the community growing right now, and I just want to witness that and put my focus and intention on that, as that's something that I feel I can have control over. I can support my community members. And I am going to be sharing with you before the interview the story about the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And this story is about a sorcerer that just brings a silence upon people as people walk by. The banter and the chatter is just displaced. He kind of clears the room. His energy is heavy but powerful, and people have a reverence and a fear for him. He has an apprentice, and the apprentice job is to chop wood and carry water and keep the operation going. And one day, the sorcerer has an important task, and he leaves for the afternoon and asks the apprentice to tend the shop, to tend the fire of the hearth, and guard the elixirs. And this apprentice is very bored. He is just chopping wood, carrying water. He doesn't have much magic or power or meaning in his life. And so, in a moment, he looks at the shop, which is so dusty, which is covered from the hearth ashes. And he looks in the other room and sees that the door to the private quarters of the master is cracked open. And he goes in and just takes a look, wanders around, seeing old animal heads, elixirs, seeing talismans and objects of tremendous power. And then he sees a magic wand, and he takes the magic wand, he points it at the broom, and immediately the broom starts sweeping the entire room. And he's very pleased with himself. He figures out after a short time that he can make the broom fill up water for him. And the broom starts filling up pails of water. And he's able to do this labor that is generally very intensive for him just at the flick of his wrist. And so he decides that he's done so much and it's time for him to take a nap. So he lays his head down at the back of the shop, and he's dreaming of the power and the responsibility that he has. And then suddenly he wakes up with his feet wet, and the entire shop is flooding because the broom is continuously filling up the pails of water. And he finds a solution, and he uses his axe to chop the broom up into bits. And each of the pieces of the broom handle grow into another broom. And then all of a sudden, the efforts are just multiplied and amplified. And so I will leave you with this part of the story as we move into our interview with Cara Faith. Cara is a highly sensitive and heart-centered intuitive healer who uses her finely tuned psychic and mediumship abilities to guide you on a healing journey. As you use your heart as a compass to restore clarity, she helps to nurture your inner child, clear blocks, step into your power, and fall more in love with the real you. Cara believes that embracing life's synchronicities is essential to living with joy. Through a series of inward journeys, including reconnecting energetically with her unborn twin brother, Cara learned to listen to her heart and follow its guidance. She overcame her lifelong fear of feeling lost, tapped into her soul's wisdom, and awakened to a new reality of feeling found. She has studied with world renowned psychic mediums such as Lisa Williams and exceptional psychic healers from Psychic Horizon School, where she became an ordained minister. Now, I also, speaking of manifestation, want to share with you a manifestation course that I have been working on, in which we can manifest with the power of the moon, which utilizes the cycles of the moon. It's going to start with the new moon in Taurus, which is on the 27th of April. If you're interested, I will drop in a link for you to check it out. And without further ado, let's grab our broom and our snorkel, because evidently the shop is flooded and we are diving in. Cara's so happy and excited to share with you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun of our reconnection, how this all happened.
Yes, and I've seen just through this social media lens over the years that we were just doing similar things with psychic energy work, with kind of, I dabble in mediumship a little bit. But tell us more about your life and the turn events that have brought you into this space as this spiritual entrepreneur or badass working with energy, helping people cleanse some of the gunk and the karma that we all need to up level as a community and a collective.
Yes. Well, it was not what I expected, and maybe that's what we all can say. So I thought I was going to be a personal trainer for the rest of my life, and that kind of came through with the personal trainer passion and direction when I was 14. And then I officially became one when I was 19. And I just really loved working like so intimately with my clients, of course, for their health. And then I, of course, love to like get into deep conversations with them and really discuss just their inner world and, of course, their outer world. So then I started to read books about mind, body, spirit connection, and that really turned me on. Like I used to think I couldn't remember things when I was reading books. But then when I read those things, I could remember them and I could like relay them to my clients. So I kept doing that for several years, and I just thought, this is my forever. I'm, quote unquote, successful at it, and blah, blah, blah. And it was really fun. But then this new book arrived on my path, and it's called The Journey by Brandon Bays. Have you ever heard of that book?
No, that sounds nice.
It's very nice. So she is also a holistic practitioner, and she was living in Hawaii. And she developed this tumor the size of a basketball in her stomach. So she was very just baffled by this and shocked. And they said, you have a few months to live. And she went to her massage therapist, and the massage therapist asked, have you gone inside the tumor and asked why it's there, what it's holding? He said, no, haven't done that. So let's do that. So then they go on this internal journey, and she discovers the memory that is stored inside the tumor was a memory of unforgiveness. And it was when she was 4 years old, she was on the beach with her sister and her best friend, and her best friend picked her sister. So then she developed this whole fear throughout her whole adult life of being rejected and being abandoned. And that actually happened with her husband. And then but in this whole journey, she was able to go and kind of feel the feelings of the 4-year-old self and speak to her sister and her best friend at that age and that time, and heard their soul truth, and then had this whole flood of forgiveness come over her and really be in the truth of God, the divine, and source, and what is her truth. So then she's just continued on with that journey. And the tumor went away. So she then knew she needed to share this practice
Of
with
course.
others. So, so when I was reading it, I was like, what? What? Like my whole body was just responding. And in the back of the book is a script of that journey. And so it just says, grab your best friend and you can do this deep work with your best friend. But I just so felt spirit telling me at the time, Cara, this is your next step with your clients. Coming to you with health issues, it's also emotional. This is what you need to do for them. Okay. So then they came to my house and they were just purging all these heavy, intense emotions. They felt better when they left. I then became in bed the next
Your
day.
clients?
Yeah.
Okay.
My clients felt great after they left. And I was in bed the next day and I felt like total crap. So I had no idea there was such a thing as energy protection and boundaries. And so I just absorbed it all. And so I was just in this question, with the universe, like, oh man, I was so excited about this. Like, but I can't do this. Like, this is totally taking me down. So what do I do? So then, how powerful the universe is, Brandon Bays, the author herself, comes to Fort Collins, where I'm living. She usually lives in Hawaii. She goes all around the world and teaches this to people, and she comes to my little town. So, freaking out about that, I go to her speaking workshop and I meet a practitioner. And she's like, well, I'm needing hours and you do this for people and you've never received it yourself. I want to do it for you for free. Okay. So then I go and I receive 2 life-changing sessions. And she asked me, and she's like, so kind of focus on 2 things. One, is there an emotion that keeps knocking on your door? Or 2, is there a big fear you have? Yes, ever since I was a kid, I was really scared of getting lost. Couldn't imagine flying by myself, traveling by myself, even going into a town with like more than one stoplight. Like that was a little nerve-wracking. So we went into this journey and I relived my birth. And there I discovered was an unborn twin brother of mine that I, wasn't talked about. However, I do remember having an invisible brother. I would call him my invisible brother up until I went to kindergarten.
Oh my God.
And so then, after I did this session with this woman, the journey session, she was like, okay, Cara, like you're very visual, you're very clairvoyant, and a lot of the energy that you're dealing with is not yours. So you need to go to school. And I, had this whole impression of myself that I hated school. I just wanted to get into real life. I was awful at exams, like multiple choice exams. And my angel cards were telling me I was supposed to go back to school and that I was a medicine woman and I didn't know what that meant. And so then she said that, and she's like, you need to go to this psychic clairvoyant school in Boulder, Colorado. And then my body was like, yes, yes, yes. This is scary. I have to drive to a place I haven't been before, but now I have my tools and I'm going to do it. And so I went to that for 6 weeks. They also saw my twin brother. They also noticed he was really in my space. And it was hard for me to kind of like discern like what is mine, what is not mine. So they taught me these energy protection tools. And I just had the veil removed from my eyes of how I viewed just my life and like childhood stuff. And I knew I had to do the year-long program. And so that was essentially just cleaning me out in a sense, going through deep programming, like really seeing who I am and what I wanted. And my soul was just like, you're done being a personal trainer. You're bored with that. And you're supposed to do all these different things and be with kids and teach kids and travel. And like, so then I became this like traveler and thought I was going to live in Europe. And my family knew me as being scared to go to summer camp. So I then wasn't, personal trainer very much anymore. And I just took on this incredible spiritual journey. And this was 15 years ago. So then I would like kind of tell people here and there I'm intuitive and I would do sessions and I was totally wowed by them. And, sometimes their past loved ones would show up, or like I would pick up that someone had a miscarriage and the baby would show up. But I was still kind of scared to admit that I was a medium and that I could do that. And so then I would do, different work with kids and be a teacher and be a leader in different ways. And then just in 2020, I went through this awesome, awful healing crisis on so many levels to really go up to a different vibration. And spirit was like, okay, Cara, you can't, be like a full-time virtual assistant. You really need to tell people you're a spiritual intuitive coach. You need to channel meditations. You need to really channel love, and you need to tell people that you're a psychic medium. So I did, and I'm here. So I was just really forced. The other jobs were not working out, like it just wasn't coming through. And so now I'm just so much more forced to like really make this more of my full time.
How did you drop the resistance?
I mean, it's definitely a process. I'm definitely a weird little duck where I really trust spirit. I've done so many different things and I'm like, really? Oh God, okay, really? Like this is scary, but I just know that muscle traveling to Belgium and not knowing when I'm going to come back. When I'm so used to wanting to be a homebody and like know all the familiar things. But I so trust that and know that. And so I was like, okay, this is my truth. I trust spirit. I have faith in spirit. It can definitely, it got scary and several times I wanted to throw in the towel because it can be so stressful to be an entrepreneur and just not know where your money is going to come from, day to day and all the ups and downs and really having to put myself out there for sure. But I just, I would feel my emotions and at times I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But then I would try to put myself out there like as a virtual assistant and like nothing really would unfold. Okay, my soul is directing the ship here. So I'm going to express these emotions, say how frustrated I am, and that this is really kind of scary, on the like root chakra. But I'm just going to tune in and ask what I need to do and what steps. And I just keep that vibration of trust as much as I can.
Yeah, it's wild. I wish there was a manual for how to trust spirit and how to go
Yeah,
through, letting go and go through changes without full resistance. But yes, that is
I
being a
get
human,
stretched.
like realizing like we are really spiritual. I think that sometimes makes it harder when you feel like you're spiritual and you feel like you're tapped into this system of guidance and knowledge, but at the same time you still have your human self just hanging on to something. It's like stop.
Absolutely. And I just, so believe in past lives. And so it's like, whoa, just carving out all the past life patterns and imprints that aren't serving me. And so those show up in my life challenges, kind of
Yeah.
like my healing crisis and, just being an entrepreneur and really being tested.
What did you find out about your brother in your other lifetimes?
Oh, that's a great question. Have I even asked that? I don't know if I've even asked that about past lives. That could be fun. Yeah, he told me
Oh,
so much in this lifetime. He's like, I tried to come through your grandma and she had a miscarriage of a boy. And then I was going to come through your mom, but then I
wow.
just decided, no, I want you to be my mom. And I just changed directions. And so for a while, I thought I was going to be his mom. And I was like, okay. And so I'd really tune into that and the energy of this insane, like, enlightenment experience I would have with him. And then, do you know Lisa Williams, psychic medium?
I've heard that name, yes.
Yeah, so she's this phenomenal, internationally known psychic medium for like 25 to 30 years. Had a TV show. So we would watch her TV show, and this is maybe before I knew I was a psychic medium. I was like, whoa, one day I want to meet her, and I wonder who she would read on my side. So then she comes to Fort Collins, and we get a reading by her,
Yeah.
and she picks up on my twin brother. And she was just like, there's this other like bouncy, joyful energy going on here, and it's a little kid, but she had to like move on to other people. So it was really validating, just to have other people really pick up on him and just how joyful he is.
Amazing. Side note, it's really strange. We both lived in Port Townsend area and I went to Fort Collins in April for a holographic sound healing workshop. This woman, Jessica Gold, was teaching it, but she was teaching it like Paul Hubert. Dr. Paul is the one that came up with it. And that was really incredible for my psychic energetic boundaries because of utilizing the sacred geometry and those energies. You're setting up your energetic space around your client and yourself for protection.
Was it this April?
Yeah, I think it was late
Oh,
April.
that's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy you had a
So
good time.
weird. Yeah. And it's such a weird little place. Like it was just somebody's house and they were able to use the space, and it was really nice, the experience and just the community, like all of the people that are basically, soul family, that you're like, wow, I feel like normal in this space.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that because, yeah, we really wanted to move. And so I say spirit and my soul took us to Pacific Northwest where you are
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, I just want even more like kind of the veil is so thin there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want kind of to experience the people as nature embodies of her wildness and
Yeah.
her like crazy trees and ocean and movement and depth and Gaia. And I was like, Fort Collins is so dry, but
Uh-huh.
being back here, I've been really wild. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like there is so much, great consciousness and
Yeah.
heart-centered people, of course. And so
I
it's
wouldn't
felt
be
really
surprised if you ended up coming back, because there is this weird pull here where it's a very big transition place. People come here to do deep healing, and like often they're not here for a long time, or they're kind of unstable, or they live in transitional
Mhm.
places, places that you're like, how does a person survive in a place like that? Not a real cookie cutter standard situation. I'm not for sure in a standard situation, but just finding all the support that you need, regardless of all of that. But my Pluto line runs through the Northwest, and it does feel like for a lot of people, Chiron or something runs through it. Like it's a very shifty kind of area. And it also has to do with the Native American rituals that they used to do in Port Townsend. Like it's almost like they don't really want people to live there. Yeah, I just had some interesting experiences of being in this Point Hudson on the water in this place, and
Mm.
like channeling and being like, okay, I understand why this situation in this place, in this relationship, was going the way that it was going, was because this is not a stable place.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say that. They're like, good luck. Like Port Townsend or just the area of the land is going to try to push you out. But
Mm-hmm.
you really have to just, if you're meant to stay, just like hold yourself and work with it. And so I was like, yeah, it was definitely the place for sure that my soul wanted to do this incredible
Yeah.
healing crisis and release all these hordes kind of from the past and everything. So
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I never actually lived in Port Townsend. I've always lived outside of Port Townsend.
yeah,
But
same here.
there's still, I'm sure there's still some of that energy. I
Yeah.
used to live in a place where they did ceremonies, and it's just very interesting how magnetic but yet volcanic it can be.
Yes, it's like palpable. I mean, it's like when you step on that soil and just feel the trees and the air, it's like, oh, whoa, okay, Gaia is present. God and goddess and stars are present. You can just feel your ancestors and your guides and see them. And yeah, I remember the first time we got our house, so 6 weeks after we moved there, the Pleiadians came in my dream, and I've never had that happen before. And I was like,
Yes.
who are you? And it was these little blue beings who were outside my window. And I think then they told me, they're like, we are your star brothers and sisters, and we are here to protect you. And then now when I try to remember this and not fall asleep too soon, I ask them to clean me and clear me every night. And then usually after that, I fall asleep.
Amazing. So you found some allies. I'm curious if you ever look at the moon sign that it is when you have crazy dreams.
No, that would be fun.
Moon is in Pisces as we talk in this recording. And I
Oh,
was like, that always gives me crazy dreams. Oh my gosh.
oh, wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's like the next step I need to do because I love the moon. And yeah, when I was in my healing crisis, another incredible dream that came through is I was on this planet and I might get it wrong now, but I think I saw like seven moons. And I was like, where am I? And then I found out it was Saturn. If it's wrong, maybe it's 13 moons. But and they told me, they said, your new name now is Mystic Moon Channeler. That's fun. And I
Whoa.
kind of forget to use it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now after that, I do moon readings on new moon and full moon. And that's been really fun.
Yeah. So how do you like to work with the moon? Because I have a program for manifesting with the moon. And, you start with the moon and the intention, like writing the intentions. But then as it builds and I believe, it's a whole cycle. Like with everything that you are manifesting and inviting in, there's also something you're releasing on the other half of the coin.
Massive, massive. Like we just did, we just had full moon in Capricorn, our second full moon Capricorn on
The
Sunday.
wormhole of Capricorn full moon. It feels really good to be out of that, I believe.
Oh, that's great. I don't know if I really had any. And that's what's really funny. I'm so, so, so sensitive and I'm madly in love with the moon, but I'm not affected by it. And I'm not like, whoa, the moon must be and blah, 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 blah. Because I'm feeling it. Like it's very interesting of me that way. Of I'm kind of like consistent and just consistent in a sense with how I feel. And I
Hmm.
kind of like wish I'm like, oh, that'd be fun to like really feel the different changes of the moon.
Yeah.
But I'd love to like, educate people about it. Again, I'm not an
You must have a lot
astrologist,
of
so
earth.
yeah, right. So I just follow an astrologist, but I love to channel the moon. So when I do my healing meditations, that's what I did for my people on Monday is I just called in the moon beams and the moon just gave them this incredible healing with their inner child because that was really kind of accentuated with the Capricorn. So that was really fun to connect with her that way, just to really see what she wanted to say and bathe in like the channeling just took us into the ocean and just kind of bathed us and release. So that's what I really emphasize and what I do myself is I mainly focus on new moon and full moon rituals. So like you said, full moon is all about release. I really encourage people to do forgiveness letters. It doesn't mean you ever have to send it, but a lot of times it's to yourself for full moon. So that's like a big one. So pretty much every full moon I do that. I just kind of put pen to paper and I'm like, who am I ready to forgive? And I just dump it out, scribble it out, and most of the time it's myself.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, I feel like even on the squares, right? When the moon is squaring the sun between the full and the new moons, maybe
Mm.
when you have the most tension and you need the most support. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I believe like there's a ceremony going on, no matter what, that you actually are practicing or participating in. Like it's still happening. And the
Yeah.
ceremony itself, like just lighting the candle or like smudging
Yes.
the thing, something really tiny, it's like this acknowledgement of what we're going through internally. And it's just really helpful.
Yes. Does your sleep get disturbed with full moons?
It not this one not specifically, but it definitely has in the past. I mean, I think that we went through some crazy eclipse portals and
Mm-hmm.
my health was more unstable when that was more unstable, like in 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I would be up much of the night during the full moon and the new moon. And what I found was because I'd have to check in with myself, like maybe I need a snack, maybe my glycogen is unstable. That's why I'm not sleeping. But
Mm-hmm.
after I did that, I'd realized, no, girl, you're channeling. You need a paper and pen. And I would start writing, and then usually I could sleep after that because whatever was wanting to communicate through me was able to be expressed.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, way to go with listening. This, of course, so important.
Yeah. And then that's, like, I mean, I think that's how we connect with people. I think COVID really showed me, like, okay, if we take away this way that you connect with people with your hands, how else can you connect with people? And
Mhm.
through my words was a really powerful thing that I hadn't really fully tapped into my
Mm.
or come into myself as like a writer and expressing myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's huge, We what we lack in community in like a solid earth, hands in the dirt, one-on-one sort of thing in this realm that we're in right now, we make up for in like if you can use social media and podcasting, a lot of that stuff in a way that feeds you and nourishes you, and you can receive what you need from it. And it goes
Yeah.
both ways, right? You're sharing the things that really, really move you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's such a, hate to say it, but it's like this love hate, like push pull with the technology, and how being like a sensitive person, it can just buzz me out. Like it can just buzz out my little system. And I was really nervous about coming to Fort Collins because there's so many Wi-Fi towers in Port Townsend and that area. It's a lot more quiet, and like nature buffers it. And so I was so nervous. I was like, really, Spirit, we're supposed to move back to like the city where there's all these big, towers and everything,
Mm-hmm.
just the electromagnetic field and everything. But luckily, I've done okay. And I'm like, okay, I just really have to be adamant about touching nature, holding rocks, putting them on my body. And when I do social media, of just to be in total inspiration, just to be in the flood of creativity. And luckily, I'm very grateful that that's what happens. I'm like, okay, I have more ideas that I can even post because I'm just so in love with spirit and so in love with messages to share. And just it's so great of just to have this, little platform that I get to be creative and maybe silly and entertaining, because being an entertainer is such a part of me and my chart. And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't have a stage right now, so this is my stage to
Is
just
it
like
related to like
enter
Neptune or?
Leo. So my north node is a Leo rising.
Oh, okay. Amazing. I'm a Leo ascendant also. So right now we're in Leo season. It feels like, okay, I'm ready.
Yes, I'm just so excited for Lionsgate. And that, this year is, they say, quote unquote, one of the most potent because it's 888. So it's like the door closes on August 8th, and then we're in an eighth year. And so it's just like so much energy of that eight. And so I'm like,
An
okay, I can't
eighth,
wait.
an eighth year in astrology.
Just that 2024 adds up to an eight.
Okay. Whoa, that's great. And do you have any rituals that you want to share that you like drop into for that?
Yeah. Oh wait, for Lionsgate or
Yeah.
for no?
Having like
Yes.
rituals for all of the powerful things that come through, or like I channeled some extra dimensional beings the last Lionsgate. I remember that it was supposed to come through and I could feel that coming through.
Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, that's incredible. Like when you said rituals, and then when you were talking, I don't think I've ever done this, but I want to this year, is to drum. So I love to drum. And then I've just done it where I just kind of go outside, and because the light waves are a lot stronger than from the Syrian star. And so
Mm.
I just like to call in that energy from the Syrian star to come into my crown, and just to say, like, I absorb, I receive, and these are my intentions. So these are my intentions for the year ahead. This is what I want to manifest. And it's, safe for me to hold this new light in my body. And that, so,
Yeah.
because so many of our sensitive souls, our bodies can go through so much struggle because of the new kind of activity of the light waves coming in. So
It
it's
is like
hard.
EMF, like it is like, what do they call it? Native EMF and non-native EMF. So
Oh,
instead
cool.
of a man-made EMF, like we can get EMFs from other people. Somebody has
Mhm.
like they're just energy, like maybe they're not angry or maybe they're sad, but maybe there's some deep energy. I mean, you can feel it, right? When you're
Yeah.
working with somebody and their field is just enormous versus being like kind of contained.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right. Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, I like have to use my energy tools. But that's one, I guess, during the Lion's Gate is just to absorb. But what I see right now is the drum. And maybe that's just because of when I think of the lion, I kind of think of the
Fire.
Lion King,
Yeah.
the music and the circle of life. And I love that song.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
it's like
I've been doing
very
African dance class from their tradition is from Guinea. They have all the ballets in Guinea. It's just it feels so freaking good to like move in that way. It
yes,
and with the live drums and everything, it's
yes,
just
it's
it's
ridiculous.
incredible.
I did that maybe 18 years ago, and now I'm like, ooh, I don't know if my back can handle that, but man, do I want to do that. Like it's incredible. Yeah, talk about power. It's just like tear jerking. Like how the primal,
Yeah.
buttons can get pushed. Like
And it's
this is
very root chakra. Like it's very
yes.
grounding movements and very working with the soil, tilling. Every movement has some kind of explanation around why you're doing that movement.
Yes. I remember I did one here in Fort Collins, and they are teaching us the rain dance.
Hmm.
Like this is what the tribe did. It hadn't rained in who knows how long. And so they did this dance and they invited kids to come to class that day. So of course I loved it even more. And so we did this whole rain dance of like praying for the rain. Oh, it's like, yes, talk about sacred dance, just everything like you said, having a point and a purpose, and you just feel so connected to your line and so connected to
Hmm.
Mother Earth and just remembering who you are. And I think that's essential.
The people of the Pacific Northwest are like rain manifestors, it feels. It feels like everywhere we go, we bring the rain with us.
Yes, and that's what we say. This is so funny. So that's what Chelsea and I say about coming back to Fort Collins because they're like, we're in the drought, and I was so scared to come back here because it's hot and I don't do the heat. And I was like, really, Spirit, how am I going to be okay? How am I going to be okay? But since we've been back, like the first 2 years, it rained so much
Uh
during the
huh.
summer. And we are like, we brought it from the Pacific Northwest.
You are needed there.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
incredible. What's your favorite thing about living there? Was it just a life change for any particular reason?
Oh, well, so I mean, we've lived like Chelsea, my wife, she grew up here, and so my family's here, and we have community here for so many years. Like I've been here since I was 17. But yeah, I mean, why I feel our souls brought us back here was just like, okay, we're supposed to launch these new businesses, and a lot of it is like in person, and it's like a more just numbers. It's like we're supposed to reach more people in larger numbers. And where we were in like Swim, Washington, like our community like wasn't really there. And so we're just like, okay, we're just really supposed to build this business, and we're just really supposed to bring the energy from the Pacific Northwest that we unearthed from ourselves, and people need it here. Like we
Mm.
do pamper events here now for women, and these women here just so desperately need this coming together and getting earthed, and just really coming together and really connecting to their root chakra, and being close with other women. And so we're like, okay, this is amazing. And now that we are here, we have easier access to, because we don't like to travel that much. So we have easier access because this town is a whole lot bigger, than Swim and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So we just do a lot of different in-person things, and we've just been amazed at, how we're able to build our business and the opportunities. And it is great. Of course, it is great to be with our family and to do the holidays, and, and to be here for big events. And our parents are getting older. And so that's been great of like, okay, if they need us, we're right here. And but we know we want to come back to the Pacific Northwest. We just want our feet in both
Yeah.
because we're totally both people.
Yeah. I'm curious if you have like a morning routine or something like that.
Yes. So I love mornings. I love to be slow for sure. I used to have to get up so early as a personal trainer, not anymore. So I don't get out of bed. I'm not one to like spring out of bed right away. I listen to Insight Timer. So I just put on like some heart chakra sound bowl for maybe like 30 minutes, and I just kind of replay and process my dreams. Um, a lot of times I just naturally put my hand on my heart, just close my eyes and really set my intentions for the day. And, just really give my prayers to God and to the universe and feel them really land in my body, and just see, does something get triggered from a dream? Is there something I need to tell myself, and just tell myself that it's totally safe for me to feel this and to move through it. And then I get up and I have to eat. And so I do all that. And then
Have
I
to.
just
What do you mean have to?
have have to. I love to eat.
Yeah.
Um, and so then I just sit at our little table and I get out my journal and I like to write manifesting miracles. So I just write out as if it's already happened, just what I'm manifesting. So it is really fun, like just to work with it, being an entrepreneur and having a lot of different offers. I just get to kind of see what's coming through and then just write it out. And then, not every day, but some days I'm like, wow, like I just said that to God and to my soul that I'm ready for this. And then, someone just contacted me and asked me, like, inquired about it. So it's really fun to do that. I love to meditate. So then I go in my little meditation chair and put on music and hold my little crystals and
Ah,
and just, envision energy coming into me and just, ask God, what do I need to know? Sometimes I fall asleep, sometimes I don't. Sometimes go out and, especially in the summer, lay on the ground. We have a yard outside. So just to earth myself because, I'm on technology a lot. So I just have to get earthed. So I go out
yes.
and I with our dog and I just allow my little feet to absorb the earth energy.
I love
'Cause-
it. Yeah, being that this is the episode or the program is called the Liminal Frequencies podcast, I love the liminal spaces that we drop into in dreaming. And when we wake up, I do as many things as I can to try and connect and preserve that dreaming state. So I'll check in with my bodies, with my spiritual body, with my emotional body, with my inner child. If I could do it without falling back asleep, I'll check in with myself again when I get up without really jumping to something if I have time. And at least the last couple mornings since whatever energy shift, I've been really like getting on the trail and walking in the morning and just getting all the colors and the sounds and the lights in my system before I start to like look at emails and who messaged me in the night and things like that.
Oh my God, that's a dream. My body used to love to, like, especially when I was a trainer, like love to move in the morning. It takes me so long now to like have enough food in me, like since my healing crisis.
Yeah.
Like, so that's a dream. I'm so happy for
Yeah.
you
Oh,
that you're
listen to
doing
those
that.
adrenals and give them what they need, right?
Yeah, yeah. But oh my gosh, just to go walking in where you are, I know it's beautiful. So that would be so enlivening and a big yes. But yeah, it's fun. I kind of like drop in and I kind of write out different rituals that want to come through. And sometimes I just muscle test.
Yeah.
What do you want to do now? Like try not to get, stuck in this is what I did for the last 5 weeks. Like, so it's great to be reminded of myself of like, let's try something new. Let's maybe go to a coffee shop and just
Yeah.
journal, work on business and be inspired in a new space. And
Yeah, I think the thing about those routines is people just get super bored and then they try and force themselves to do the same thing and it's like the entrepreneur journey as well like I'm writing all the things I'm manifesting. It's like I believe at doing that when you're inspired and not forcing yourself to regurgitate something like a mantra. Like if that doesn't feel it fits for you that day, then like do something else, do something more somatic maybe.
like tapping, like sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm getting triggered or I had dreams, like I just gotta tap and speak this out. Then that can just feel fantastic.
Yeah. And do you have any suggestions for how people can tap more into their intuition, into their liminal frequencies?
Oh man, so many. I mean, I really recommend just a quick energy tool that I is just like my go-to is to use the power of an energetic rose. Have you ever heard of using a rose?
I've heard of using the visualization of a rose to
Okay.
represent, to figure out, just visualize your rose and what does that represent? Is it a cut rose? Does it have roots? What color is it? Does it have petals?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I love doing that. That's really fun to do in readings. And so, yeah, so same rose. So,
Mm-hmm.
to use it to clean yourself out of other people's energy. Because I find it can be difficult to really tune into my intuition if I have all these sticky notes of all these other people's energy that I picked up from the store, from my clients, from, family
Mm.
stuff. So to close your eyes and maybe when you wake up and when you go to bed and to visualize a rose as big as you and to command for it to be grounded to the center of the earth and whatever color comes is great. and to command and set your intention to release all unwanted foreign energy out of your energy bodies. And just watch and be amazed at where it's coming out of through your body. And then you just sense it's getting full. So now you have to do something with it. So then you pop it and you just watch it kind of burst into little sparkles and go back to the center of the earth. And you're using your intuition to know, I need to do this a few more times. Or you're using your intuition to be like, I'm done.
The rose fills up with the energy and then explodes, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to like tell it, pop, explode, put a little bomb under it, release it. So to do this several times, I have to have roses around me before I do my intuitive readings. That's what I did not have when I did the journey for my clients and I got slimed and stuck in bed.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like for me, like I have to have those throughout the day when I'm doing readings, when I'm living life. And then just to clean yourself out, if you're trying to ask a certain question about your life, that can be an easy go-to. And then another fun one with the rose is to envision like a life-size rose as if you're holding it in your hand. And it's like a duster. You know, it's like I like to say it's a gold sticky rose. So it's gold because it's high vibration. And I'm going to clear out like a little feather duster the center of my head, my third eye. So clear that out, get those people out of my head, and then I have to do something with this. So I got to pop it again, release it, explode it, go down to the center of the earth, and then feel and just ask, okay, is it clear? And to also, if you're kind of like, I was feeling great today, and now I just feel heavy, now I just feel angry, and to ask, is this mine? And if you're like, I don't know, then it's probably not yours. So then you can use the rose to clear that energy out. And then you're going to be even closer to your core and to your truth to really access your intuition.
Wow, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing these gifts. And yeah, it was really such a pleasure having this conversation with you. You should come do a workshop in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
It would be
Oh my
amazing.
God. Thank you. Thank you. This was so incredible to reconnect with you.
Yeah,
Such a joy.
absolutely. What a pleasure to speak with Cara about her journey with energy healing. And back to the sorcerer's apprentice who had fallen asleep with this takeover of the shop with this broom that had a mind of its own and was filling up buckets of water, filling up an overflowing cistern. And when he decided to solve the problem with an axe, chopping it in half, it made the problem worse. And he falls asleep again, thinking the problem's solved, dreaming of power and wealth. And he wakes up realizing that the shop is completely flooded. And a moment later, the sorcerer comes back. And in one moment, he just tells all the brooms to stop with his hands, just muttering a word. And all the brooms turn back into sticks. And all the water that's overflowing in the shop retreats like the tide. And everything else in the workshop, the books, they all stack into order easily and effortlessly, and he didn't even need the wand. So, as we explore the power of our own abilities, and oftentimes we start with a little bit of beginner's luck, and we realize how powerful it is that we are doing this energy healing and we're moving things in vibration, and then we realize down the road that actually it's a lot of power to behold, and we might need a little bit better training. We might be taking these things on. And so, yeah, I can relate to this myself too, with finding the right teachers, finding the right practices that I could dial in to really support me in not taking on other people's energies. And how awesome too that this topic came through in relation to manifestation and how we manifest, how we see manifestation as this innate power and gift that we have that we can tap into. But to untrained hands, it might look a little different. I recently just talked to a woman who said that she made a list of all of the things that she wanted in a partner and all of the things she did not want in a partner. And she found that person. And it's really funny how these little glitches in our manifestation show us that actually you want to manifest exactly what you want and not anything what you don't want, because the universe does not understand positive and negative. It's just not in the vocabulary. So, as we move into what feels like a very auspicious time for manifestation, with Venus direct, we have planets direct now. We have Mars moving into Leo, which will feel a lot better for Mars. And we have Venus moving into a conjunction with the North Node and Saturn, which is an interesting alignment that we're going to be moving into maybe things that we've always wanted and finding ways and paths towards that. So, so much love to you on your path towards manifesting your dreams. I believe in you. I believe you're worth it. And sometimes we just need a little bit of rebalancing, a little bit of tweaking, and finding the right teachers to turn an overflowing shop with brooms that are taking over to a well-oiled machine.